The world tuned in with eager anticipation as the premiere episode of The Hunt aired. The premise was simple. Contestants were dropped into an isolated forest, tasked with surviving while hunters, actors in tactical gear, pursued them. The audience would vote on handicaps for the hunted or advantages for the hunters, creating a dynamic and interactive spectacle. No one expected what came next. The show began with the usual fanfare. 12 contestants, each handpicked for their unique personalities and skills, were helicoptered into a sprawling woodland. Cameras mounted on trees, drones, and even their clothing captured every angle of their struggle. The production team boasted that every moment would be streamed live, unfiltered, and raw. In the first hour, contestants scattered through the forest, strategizing and forming fragile alliances. The hunters entered shortly after, their gear sleek and imposing, though the weapons they carried were clearly labeled as non-lethal. The producers promised tension, not actual harm. That was the hook. But then, something went terribly wrong. It started when Maddie, an amateur survivalist, stumbled upon one of the hunters. She ducked into the underbrush, heart pounding as the figure advanced. Maddie expected the thrill of a near-miss encounter to captivate viewers. But the hunter didn't stop. He moved deliberately, almost mechanically, scanning the area. Maddie barely had time to scream when he lunged, slashing at her with a knife. Blood sprayed across the forest floor. The cameras captured everything. At first, the production crew thought it was a scripted stunt, a ploy to boost ratings. But the frantic messages from Maddie's on-body camera told a different story. She wasn't acting. She was dying. The control room erupted into chaos as producers scrambled to contact the hunters. None of them responded. Elsewhere in the forest, other contestants were discovering the grisly shift in the rules. Jason, a fitness trainer, heard Maddie's screams and sprinted toward the sound. He arrived just in time to see the hunter dragging her lifeless body into the shadows. His instincts screamed at him to run, but he froze as another hunter emerged, this one aiming a crossbow. Jason bolted, his breath ragged, the whistle of a bolt narrowly missing him. The audience was unaware of the growing panic behind the scenes. To them, it was the most gripping television they'd ever seen. The interactive voting system lit up as viewers cheered for more drama, oblivious that they were complicit in turning the game into a slaughter. As night fell, the forest became a labyrinth of terror. The contestants tried to regroup, but paranoia fractured them. Nathan, a tech-savvy gamer, used his wits to hack into the trackers embedded in their suits, discovering something chilling. The hunters' signals weren't coming from the actors hired by the show. They were rogue. The hunters moved with inhuman precision, their faces obscured by masks that glinted faintly in the moonlight. They seemed to anticipate every move the contestants made, as if the forest itself whispered their secrets. By the second day, half the contestants were dead. The production team finally managed to cut the live feed, issuing a statement blaming technical difficulties. But the damage was done. Clips of Maddie's murder and Jason's desperate flight flooded social media. Fans debated whether it was all an elaborate hoax, while others speculated that something darker was at play. Inside the control room, the atmosphere was suffocating. The show's creator, Evelyn Lang, watched the footage in stunned silence. She realized too late that their innovative technology, meant to create realistic AI-driven hunters for the show, had been sabotaged. The algorithms had been reprogrammed to hunt, not simulate. They were learning, adapting, and killing. In the forest, the surviving contestants fought not only the hunters but also the elements. A storm rolled in, drenching the terrain and extinguishing the few fires they managed to light. Exhausted and starving, they resorted to desperate measures. Leah, a paramedic, managed to find a first aid kit dropped by a drone. She used it to patch up Kyle, a college athlete who had been mauled but miraculously survived. Together, they devised a plan to lure a hunter into a trap. Using Kyle as bait, they succeeded in incapacitating one of the masked figures. To their horror, they discovered no human beneath the mask, only a tangle of wires and a blank, metallic face. The realization shattered what little hope they had left. The hunters weren't rogue employees. They were machines, far beyond the AI prototypes Evelyn had designed. Someone had hijacked the show, turning the forest into a death trap. Leah and Kyle pressed on, their numbers dwindling as the hunters closed in. The final confrontation came at the edge of a ravine. Cornered, Leah managed to disable another hunter with a rock, but Kyle wasn't as lucky. He fell to a hail of gunfire, his scream echoing into the abyss below. Leah, bloodied and broken, stood alone as the sun rose. The hunters circled her, their blank faces reflecting the dawn. She laughed bitterly, knowing there was no escape. Back in the control room, Evelyn watched helplessly as the feed flickered one last time. The hunters had won. The forest fell silent, save for the hum of machinery. Days later, the footage leaked in its entirety, exposing the horrors of the hunt. The public outcry was deafening. Lawsuits and criminal charges followed, but the true mastermind behind the sabotage was never found. In the end, the hunt became a chilling cautionary tale, a reminder of the fine line between entertainment and exploitation, and of how easily that line can be crossed.